Hey Aries, welcome to your year-end or 2020 year up ahead reading for Twin Flames. I will be doing one that is not a Twin Flame one, which will be posted sometime today. I'm kind of winging it here, but I'm going to start mirroring things. So you could be the DM, you could be the DF, either way. I'm grateful you're here. You could be the Aries, your twin could be the Aries, it doesn't matter. It is a general reading though, so take what resonates, leave the rest. Some of it might be for you, some of it might be for someone else. So we're going to look at the DM, the Divine Masculine energy, and then we're going to look at the Divine Feminine energy. We're going to do some mirroring here. We're going to see if there's anything that's actually mirroring in the connection. We're going to start off with a summary of 2019, lessons learned, wounds healed. Then we're going to talk about transition and growth. So the shift and change for yourselves towards each other. Then we're going to have a conversation with your higher selves. And then we're going to look at this coming year. So hunker down. Like I said, some of it might be for you, some of it might be for someone else. You will know because you will feel it in your heart if it resonates. If it doesn't, don't try and squeeze it in. It's just a message for somebody else that you happen to be watching, okay? All right, let's take a look here, Aries. We're going to look at your Divine Masculine. Or if you are the Divine Masculine. The energy is interchangeable, so keep that in mind. Okay, all right. So let's look at lessons learned. Okay, so we have the 10 of Pentacles here, so we have legacy. We have legacy, a lesson around legacy, a lesson around long-term commitments, a lesson around family. Okay. And for the feminines, temperance. Yep, balance with self-love and self-care. Okay. And here's what I'm getting. Okay, we're gonna pull clarifiers on these, so don't worry. But what came through to me while I'm doing this is, how did these lessons affect one another? I think it's really also important for those of you watching to understand that, because even though it's all energy, everything is energy, right? It's all subconscious stuff. It's all hidden and behind the scenes, but it all has such a huge effect on our physical reality. So we have the 10 of Pentacles, and what I heard was how this is affecting the Divine Feminine is it's allowing her to rise up in confidence and create that legacy for herself. Divine Masculine energy, okay, or even masculine energy, is raised in the concept of legacy, right? The feminine is raised in the concept of supporting legacy. So I think it's really fascinating that what's healing here for them, and most likely the release and the concept of expectation of legacy, okay, is actually allowing the feminine energy to build her own legacy in the physical. And then we have temperance and self-care and balance. And through that, okay, through that energy, it's allowing the Divine Masculine to feel more balanced, put themselves first in a more gentle, soft way, and take care of themselves and see their worth. So it's very, again, we'll pull some more on that. We'll get some clarifiers going, but I just think that's really fascinating how they're both affecting each other. What's interesting and what I'm being guided to say is that most likely the physical aspect of the Divine Masculine is affecting the physical aspect of the feminine, whereas the energetic aspect of the feminine is affecting the masculine on the physical. And that's not a hard line. There's no hard rules here. That's just kind of what's coming through. So again, take what resonates. All right, let's get some clarification on this legacy for the masculines. Okay. Okay, so we have, interestingly enough, we have a couple of Pisces cards. We have the Moon, okay? We have the Four of Swords, okay? And then we have the Eight of Cups, okay? So what I think is really interesting about this is that predominantly what I'm getting is your divine masculine, or again, if you're the divine masculine, take what resonates. Your divine masculine had a lot of fear around what legacy he was leaving. And I say he, there's no gender, it's just the masculine energy, okay? There was a lot of fear around the legacy or the loss of legacy. Like if things didn't turn out a certain way, there would be no legacy to leave. You know, very, very hard pressed, very limited beliefs, okay? The Four of Swords showing up here tells me that they've had a lot to think about. At the same time, they've quieted the thinking mind. You know, they've been contemplative, they've been resting their minds and feeling more into how they feel about things. They've been forced into mental tiredness. And it's interesting that the first thought came up was that they were forced to think about things, but more about rethink about things or change the way they think about things. Because we have here the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is about walking away towards something better, okay? Recognizing that they can leave their old legacy in the past and move forward to something more suiting to them. 1 second. Go. Sorry about that. My cat decided she wanted out, like she always does when I do the Aries videos. I don't know what it is. Anyway, she's probably trying to tell me something, but okay. So I feel like there's been a huge lesson around that, and recognizing that what I get is there was a huge shift in how the fact that the legacy they once wanted wasn't actually theirs. It was something that was put on them, perhaps by their father, okay? So I think that's really fascinating, because that takes huge growth to, what I'm hearing is grieve the future, grieve what could have been in order to move on to something that's even better than they could ever imagine. Okay. All right, feminines. Let's get some clarification on this Temperance. Okay. Well then. So we have the Page of Swords. Okay. We have the Empress. Beautiful. Okay. We have the Three of Pentacles. Okay. And we have the, I believe this is the King of Swords. Might be the Queen of Swords. I'm not really sure. I should probably look into that. I feel the Queen of Swords energy kind of came out in that. So what I got predominantly from that, okay. Three of Pentacles is about teamwork, okay. But it's also about third-party situations. And I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but those third-party situations are working in teamwork to help us learn our lessons, okay. This could be seeing things on social media. I don't see any real triggers here except for maybe the Queen of Swords, where you felt the need to cut yourself off from the connection in order to better care for yourself. Okay. I feel, though, this is more of the energy of learning to be more kind and loving to yourself, no matter what you see, no matter what those self-sabotaging thoughts are, no matter what is going on in a third-party situation, and really honoring the Empress within you, okay? Allowing you to make the mistakes you make, allowing yourself the good grace to learn from those mistakes, okay? And learning above all else that self-care is a priority. That when you put yourself first and you love yourself, it allows your divine masculine to step out of fear and towards his own health and well-being. Okay. All right, so We're going to put these up here for a moment, and then we're going to go into what wounds have been healed. So these wounds may not have necessarily been in regards to the connection. It could be anything from their life, from your life, okay? All right, so let's see. What wound for the masculine has been healed? Okay, so we've got a few here. That's very interesting. Okay. They want me to start with this one. Sorry. I was trying to like be fancy and mix it up, but they're not having it. So, yeah. So we have the five of coins. Do you see how fast that goes when you just pay attention to your intuition and stop trying to think so much with your head? Okay, so the 5 of Pentacles. Oh, that's very interesting, because we have the 5 of Pentacles on the bottom of this as well. Okay, so we have abandonment. We have being left out in the cold. I do hear a little bit of parental neglect, emotional abandonment is what's coming through. So, and I'm hearing a lot of the love from the divine feminine has helped heal that wound on an energetic level. Like, it's not a person-to-person love, it's that soul love, that recognition of, it's almost like a release of responsibility. It's almost like they're saying, you know, I release my parents from the responsibility of making me feel loved, because that's my job now. So I think that's a really great place for them to be. Let's see. Let's get some clarification. Okay. So the King of Coins came up, the King of Pentacles, and normally this is work-related stuff, but I instantly heard an emotional maturity, a recognition of the emotional maturity that this divine masculine has gained based on the wound that was healed. In essence, just saying, you know, and I heard very clearly, I recognize that I'm actually more emotionally mature than my parents. And it's not a judgment. There isn't, there's no judgment with that, but I feel like the 8 of Wands, there's some form of the communication with that. Like, they've been speaking to it. So perhaps they've been to a counselor or a psychologist, and they've worked through this, but it's been a verbal process. They've also been guided. Okay, we have the Hierophant here, we have the Faith card. So they've also been guided on a soul level, like I said, from the divine feminine, from their own soul guidance team, through this process of this wound healing. And we have the Ace of Cups here, which can be a new beginning in love, but it can also be this inexhaustible source of self-love within, which I felt really, really paired nicely with the concept that they've healed this wound. Okay, that they've healed this wound of feeling like it's someone else's job to love them. Okay, and what I love about that is that means, feminines, for you, you don't expect anyone else to make you feel loved either, which means you've released that attachment to your masculine of wanting him to validate you and validate your feelings and make you feel loved, because you're doing that for yourself. All right, I think that's pretty amazing. Okay, all right, so what wound has healed for the feminine? Ooh, the King of Swords. Okay, so the King of Swords is a really interesting energy. It can be a very harsh energy. It can also have an energy of wounded father, healing wounds that was created with the relationship with your father. Okay, and that's very much what's coming through here. This can be harsh words, but they're not mental words. This is father father stuff. I just have to say it. I'm just gonna keep it like that. Okay. All right. Let's get some clarification on these wounds. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we have the Chariot, which is a Cancer sign. Okay, I'm being guided to point that out. Then we have the Hierophant again. So we have the Hierophant both in wounds that are healed. So I feel like there's been a lot of spiritual guidance around this. Okay, and then we have the Two of Swords, and the Two of Swords is an interesting energy. Usually it's about not being able to make a decision. Again, we have decision making in the Chariot as well, and then we have two kittens here, so there's a lot of decision making that has come with this healing energy. But what I see very much in these cards is like this is a forceful, determined energy. Femmes, you were very determined to not only be aware of this but heal it and overcome this neglect or abandonment, even from your own father, and an emotional abandonment, if you will. The depiction of this card is what's really calling to me, because this cat is completely blind but has complete faith in walking the tightrope, because it's using its other senses other than its sense of sight. And what that tells me is that it's released your need to see validation. Do you see where I'm going with this? I feel like it's truly allowed you, and again, this is the mirroring that I'm talking about, okay? Because you've released your own, you've taken responsibility yourself, but you're trusting your own intuition and instincts, and you're determined to heal this wound of not being loved by, and it doesn't have to be your father, okay? It could be any man that's let you down. You've healed, okay, the wound that makes you feel like a victim, that makes you feel like you need someone to show you they love you. Okay, it's interesting how they mirror, because that's allowed the masculine to take responsibility for his own feelings. Do you see how powerful that is? Okay, I think that's amazing. All right, so we're going to do something a little bit fun in this moment. I'm going to put these ones away, and we're going to kind of look at the growth that each of you have gone through in regards to yourself as individuals, towards each other, and then to the connection, because I think that's kind of a fun timeline to follow, if you will. So I'm going to use, I'm sorry, I apologize if you can hear anything. I don't live alone. As long as you can hear me and see the cards, I hope that's enough. All right, I need to feel out these cards. Okay, all right. So we're gonna look at how at the beginning of this year, how you saw yourself and how your counterparts saw themselves, okay? And then how you saw them, how they saw you, and then how you saw the connection and how they saw the connection, and then we will do the transition, okay? All right, so let's do the divine masculine energy first. So how did they see themselves at the beginning of this year? That's very funny. They saw themselves as the Magician. I'm feeling a little bit of ego here, I'm just saying. Okay, how they saw you at the beginning of this year? Page of Wands. Okay, maybe some passionate communication, some flirty, I don't know. All right, how they saw the connection at the beginning of this year. Okay, the Queen of Wands. Okay, also very fiery, but also very empowering, which is an interesting place to be. All right. And then I'm going to do how you saw yourself, or how the Divine Feminine saw herself, because I don't know who's watching this. 7 of Swords, very interesting. Okay. How the DF saw the DM. Beginning of this here. Okay. The Devil, very interesting. And then how she saw the connection. So we have Temperance, okay? We'll go with these. Okay, so how is the Divine Masculine seeing himself now? All right, hang on, there's too many. How is the Divine Masculine seeing himself now? Okay, we got the 9 of Pentacles, so we have some looking good, feeling good, independence. What I think is interesting is to go from the Magician to the 9 of Pentacles means he's been on a high this whole time, which I don't necessarily agree with. I feel like what the energy is from this Magician card was smoke and mirrors, okay? But going from smoke and mirrors to true authentic self. Pretending to be, you know, sleight of hand, bait and switch, pretending to be something he wasn't because he felt he had to, into a space of this is me, take it or leave it. Okay, so I think that's a really good place to be. Okay, so I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, so for the Divine Feminine, how she was seeing herself, or how you were seeing, whoever it is that's watching, I'm just gonna say how she was seeing herself to how she's seeing herself now. Okay, into the Page of Wands energy. Very, very interesting. So I feel like what I got from this is sort of like she had to hide herself. Same energy, okay? She had to be sneaky about who she was and how she felt, especially about the connection, but we'll get through here, okay? She couldn't really truly be herself either. She had to be sneaky about it. She had to have hidden agendas. And with the Page of Wands, I feel like she's shifted into this energy where she's more passionately communicating who she really is. And I think that's also a very beautiful energy, because it's the same energy. It's just being shown in a different way. It's just being acted out in a different way. Okay. Now he was in the Page of Wands energy towards his feminine. Okay. So he was very passionate towards his feminine, or how he viewed her. Okay. Whether he talked to anybody about it or not doesn't really matter. Okay. So how does he view you now, feminines? Oh no. Okay, sad and disappointed, which is not surprising, okay? Because this is how he was viewing you. And if you've been waiting a long time, feeling like you've been doing all the work, if you're feeling like a victim, they're going to see you like a victim, okay? He sees you sad and disappointed. He knows you've been waiting, okay? We'll get a little bit further on, and we'll talk about what's coming and what this transition's all about, okay? All right. They could be Capricorn. Feminines, you were seeing them as the devil, as codependency, as an addiction, an obsession even. Okay, I know when I first started out with this connection, I was completely obsessed because I didn't understand it. So how are you viewing your twin now, feminines? Very interesting. Okay, so this could be you're viewing them from the place of the High Priestess. You're viewing secrets. There's secrets here. There are things that are unknown. There are things behind this pomegranate curtain that you just don't know about. So there's a little bit of uncertainty here, but you're trusting your own counsel in regards to your masculine. okay, in regards to what you see in them and how you see them. Here is an ego-based way of looking at them. This is a heart-centered way of looking at them, okay? So I feel like that's shifted a lot for you, okay? All right, so how were they viewing the connection? We have like empowerment. I feel like, you know, when you turn electricity on, like there's this big zap at first of energy, and I feel like that's kind of what was happening with them, because I don't believe the divine masculines are really truly conscious of the connection. Okay, so let's see how they're viewing the connection now. Ooh. We've got the Ace of Wands. Okay, so there's an epiphany here. There's a concept of like, oh, that's why that feels that way. Okay. All right, this connection is like nothing else. There's new concepts here. There's inspiration. There's spark here for them, okay? And how you're viewing the connection, okay? When you started out, it really was like, it is as consuming as it was for you. There was still this energy of love, this turning within, and this balance for you. Like it just felt like the most right thing you've ever felt in your life, okay? And how are you viewing the connection now? I'm the King of Swords. What I love about this, though, because normally the King of Swords can be a very harsh energy, it's also the energy of standing firm in your beliefs. So here you started out as feeling like you couldn't, you know, you felt insecure about your belief around this connection. Now you're like, you know what? This is my bag. This is the path I signed up for. I'm going to own it, and I'm going to love it and enjoy it. And I'm going to be miserable sometimes about it, but that's only showing me things about myself. So I feel like that's a really great transition for both of you, because there's so much growth to be seen here. Okay, I love that. So now we're going to move on to conversations with your higher selves. We're going to first pull. I'm going to pull on an animal spirit that is representing your connection at this time. Okay. I'm most likely going to read out this spirit animal because the wording of the spirit of the book is what's important, because it's going to help you throughout this transition period and into the next year to call on the strengths of this animal. Oh, look, you guys get two, and they're super interesting. Okay. Oh my God. I love that that's on the bottom. The sea serpent. Okay. I'm going to actually read out the sea serpent first, and then we'll get to these ones because these are hilarious. All right. I'm going to have a whole bunch of Aries mad at me. That's all I got to say, because they're like, how are we represented by them? But you're not represented by them. You're going to pull on their strengths to get you through. Healing emotional wounds, expressing desires. We just talked about that. The wounds that are healed, being able to express yourselves, okay? The sea serpent represents the energy of expression. Whether it's emotions, creativity, sensuality, or desire, the sea serpent helps us move and direct our energy into a healthy current. When the essence of this card is in balance, we express ourselves creatively and sexually without fear or shame. We know that what we desire most. Our hearts are at ease, and our relationships are meaningful and enduring. We loosen the grip of self-judgment, and we let the cool waters of forgiveness in to heal our wounds. When the energy of the sea serpent is not yet activated, our emotions and creativity are left in muddy waters. The current of expression stagnates in some areas of our lives, and in other places it floods. It's important to remember, no matter what the waters of our emotional lives look like, the sea serpent loves us just the same. Like a mother, she wraps herself around us in a gesture of protection. She supports us as we learn to express our true natures. The sea serpent and the second chakra. Okay. The subtle energy of the sea serpent occupies the area of the second chakra. Located deep within the pelvic bowel, this chakra is known as our center of creativity, or the sacral chakra, and desire and is associated with water, the water element. So this is the home of the Divine Mother, or Kundalini herself. But this year for you is all about being able to express yourselves, okay? And be who you're meant to be, okay? You've already done a lot of work around that, Aries, and you're just starting to kick off. So we have the oyster and the mouse, okay? One is an earth sign, one is a water sign, which is interesting. So we're going to get into, I'm going to read it because there's something in there that's important. I'm like, maybe someone wants to be a mouse. I don't know. Okay, oyster, patient, secret keeper, hiding inner treasures. The focus and determination of the oyster is unmatched. Anything an oyster personality puts their mind to, they achieve with grace and charm. The only problem is, oyster types often take their inner gifts for granted. They become shy or doubtful, and this can lead to withdrawing or protecting their deepest desires and life's work. When the oyster card appears, it's important to reveal your inner treasures. What is it you've been hesitant to share? The world is waiting to see. Okay. So I feel like I don't even know if I need to explain that to you, Aries, but this is a time to step forward in your truth. I do feel like this is more of the masculine energy shelling up. Okay, they may have a habit of doing that, you're masculine. Let's get into the mouse. Detail-oriented, small-minded, nitpicky, and nervous. The mouse has an innate desire to tend to the details. It often spends its days fixing, preparing, organizing, and scrutinizing. Unfortunately, a mouse personality doesn't notice when they've gone too far. Soon they begin to have limited and fearful vision of life and try to control every detail. This can be quite a painful experience for both the mouse and those around them. When mouse energy is at play, step back for a moment. It may be time to find a more purposeful project to delve into, one that's worthy of your exacting eye. So what I got mostly from that is not to get lost in the details, Aries. You want to prepare, you want to make things perfect, but it's not meant to be perfect. You're meant to be perfectly you. So come out of your shell. This is for you and your masculine. This is totally the energy that you guys need for this year coming up, because you need to flow in your creativity, honor your sacral chakra, be unabashedly passionate, sexual, creative, and don't worry about the details so much. Just do. I struggle with that. I'm an Aries, okay? Even doing this reading right now was a struggle for me because I'm trying to make sure I'm getting all the points in. But sometimes we just have to be, and we just have to know and allow our gift to flow. And anybody who is meant to receive healing from it will receive healing, okay? All right, so now we are going to get a message from their higher self and from your higher self for the both of you, okay? Okay, sorry, they want me to use the romance angels. And then we'll add on. Okay. They're so picky sometimes. I mean, I love you. Thank you. Okay. See how fast that was? Yeah. Guys, I can't make this up right now. So I call from the Divine Masculine's higher self, calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, and visualizations help bring you together. And legit, I pull for the feminine, soulmate. Yes, this is your soulmate, okay? Yes, you're calling in the right person. Whoever needed to hear that, that was awesome. I just gotta say. Okay. All right. Yeah. Talk and smack, exactly. So we have fear and we have talk and smack. So I realize that I'm testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. And talking smack to me is always about that energy, that negative self-talk, that doubt, that stuff inside us that makes us waver from what we truly are trying to call in. Okay, so really the message here is to stay steadfast. If fear comes up, face it with love, attach love to it, create love around it. Honor it for letting you know that there's a wound that still needs healing. Acknowledge it and release it. Okay, don't sit around the campfire and continue to engage in conversation with it. There's no space for that anymore. He is saying, you're calling me in. Okay, your higher self is saying, you're calling the right person in. Keep going. Keep being you. Keep healing you. Keep moving forward with you, because this is all working out exactly how it's meant to. Okay, you may not see that yet, but I guarantee you feel it on some level. Okay, well then, you're not messing around today. Okay, now we're going to get into this coming year. Okay, so I'm going to put some of these away because there's a gazillion cards out right now. I've got so many decks sitting around. Not that you need to know any of that, but okay. I'm like legit running out of room. Okay. So we're going to look at challenges, resources, how the bond will deepen, some stuff that still needs to be faced, the lessons that will be learned, your path to purpose, gift development, and possibility. Okay, so let's take a look at challenges. What challenges will you and your twin face? Oh, the divine masculine. We will still do it separate. Okay. Okay, patience. Are you sure this isn't for the divine feminine? Anyway, we have the patience card for the divine masculine, and maybe some feminines are like, it's about time. Okay. All right. What challenges will be? Yeah. Victory. That's an interesting challenge to have, femmes, because I feel that I feel that it's a matter of time. I feel it's going to be, the challenge for you is going to be what you consider a victory. Okay, what do you consider a victory? And what are the expectations around that? Because a victory could be anything. It could be any small step in the right direction. Okay. And for the masculine, I feel like, because I always feel the masculine energy is just a little bit behind the feminine energy. So I feel like they're going to start feeling how we're feeling now, where they're like, why isn't this moving? It's going to be really, really interesting to see, because I feel like they're going to start acknowledging that tug of the soul and wanting to move forward with it. So it's going to be an interesting to see the kind of challenge that comes from that, from their end, because we as feminines may never see it at all. We just might read about it or hear about it, right? Okay, I think that's kind of cool. All right, so what resources do the masculines, or will the masculines have coming to them? Gratitude is the attitude is the first thing I heard. Okay, they're going to start tapping in more to their own gratefulness and their own gratitude and healing themselves that way. I'm going to pull also a dragon card because I think that's kind of important. Okay. We got 2. Okay. So green gold dragon from Sirius brings universal knowledge to your spiritual pathway. Learn about spiritual technology. Be a transmitter of sacred knowledge. And then we have the earth and air dragon. So represents perfect balance of heaven and earth. Stay balanced, grounded in your visions, manifest your hopes and dreams. I feel like they're going to start, whoever this is, they're going to start journaling more. They're going to start writing more. They're going to start paying attention to the things that their knowing is telling them. Okay, that's going to help them get through. Much like when we tap into a tarot reader, or, we read something and it gives us a little bit of hope and a little bit of patience. Okay, I feel like that's going to be coming very much for them. Okay, so for the feminine, okay, what resources or what can she, financial constraints. It's very interesting, okay, because this is as a supportive energy. This is actually about value of self, okay, and it's a good counteract for this victory card, because it counteracts our expectations of what victory is, of what value is, of what validation is. So this will still, it could still be a continuing theme, Aries. What I get though is that it's not going to go the longevity that it has, where you feel like you're just depleted. I feel more from this energy that you've recognized that you're an inexhaustible source of love, that you're an inexhaustible source of fuel or abundance, right? Like it's in opposition, because it's in a resourceful place. You've been to this place of lack of value. You've been to this place of, monetary destitute, if you will, okay? And it's made you stronger, because you know that you can withstand anything. And when you know that you can withstand anything, there's no fear. The fear dissipates because you're no longer in a survival mode. You recognize that you have survived, you've already had that experience, and you're ready to experience the opposite of that. Okay, so let's see what the dragons have to say. Golden Atlantean Dragon helps you remember the wisdom of Golden Atlantis. Awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, reclaim your mastery. Yeah, you're going to tap into your mastery, feminines. You're bringing back your knowledge and your gifts, okay, and your talents, and that's all. I feel like it's going to draw your focus away from timelines and expectations, which is why the patience card isn't here for you as a challenge. You will no longer be challenged by patience. Okay. All right, let's see. All right, so how will the bond deepen? Very interesting. Okay. The bond will deepen. I'm being guided to use my mermaid cards. They're really, really big, so it's hard to shuffle them. How will the bond deepen for your divine masculine? For the divine masculines. Keep that over there. Song of the Siren, the call, summoning voice to acknowledge. Okay, so very much so what I had said at the beginning, where they're going to feel the bond call to them. It will deepen to them. It will be much deeper. It'll be how it for them, how it feels for us right now. Right now, but they're in the middle of transition, but right now they're easily distracted by all the other things that they're doing, that they're healing, but those distractions are falling away one at a time for a reason. Okay. All right, how will the bond deepen for you, feminines? Yearning, longing for someone, undesired separation, pining. Okay, so I think this is interesting. I feel though that this is more about your understanding about that your soul's there. It's going to be strong. Okay, the bond, okay, the soul calling is going to be very strong for you. But for you, because you're awakened, because you've gone through all these processes already, you're going to recognize what that really means. It's a remembrance of the connection. It's a remembrance that you're not alone. It's a remembrance that you're in this together, working as a team. It will no longer feel as much like yearning. You're still going to long for them, because your soul is always going to long for the other half of it. But it's going to be a different understanding of it. Okay. It's a very interesting, because there's going to be a lot of soul tugging for you and your twin, and how you handle it is going to be how you handle it. Okay. There's no judgment here, but it's just, it's almost like this is a very new and this is a very old, like, oh, I'm yearning for this person, like, oh. It's not like that. It's like, it's very much an energy of recognition of what that means, versus, because I feel like when you felt this yearning before, you felt at a loss, and it's not going to feel like that. It's going to feel like it's to your benefit. It's going to be like, yeah, I've got this connection, and it's so amazing, and it's such a gift. Like, it's going to be just a different energy around it. Okay. So don't worry, it's not like you're going to be pining or, hiding away in your room, eating boxes of chocolate. It's not like that, okay? All right, so what will need to be faced and what lessons will be learned for the Divine Masculine? Yes, I love it. Opening up of their crown chakra, trusting their knowing. Okay, they're going to be blasted with so many downloads, so much information. And here's what's going to be interesting, because I've said this from the beginning. When the Divine Masculine wakes up, okay, because of all the work the feminine has done, it's going to be almost instant for them. Like, all of the work that we've done to clear the blockages, it'll be like they'll be bang on. It's like they won't have to go through all that. I know it kind of sounds like it sucks, but this is what we signed up for, kids. So this is what we signed up for. I love that the Angel of Love is on the bottom, by the way. But they're really going to be tapping into their knowing. They're going to be going through the same stuff that we're going through to some degree, not as much because we've done a lot of the work, of trusting their knowing versus seeing with their human eyes, seeing with their brain. Okay. All right. So what needs to be faced or lessons learned with the feminine? Yeah. Strategy. How to handle strategy with balance is what came through. So, it's one thing to plan, it's another thing to overplan. It's one thing to be fluid, it's another thing to be flighty. So finding balance in allowing your heart to create the vision, and having your brain come in and create the steps to that vision, but keeping the vision of the heart at the forefront, and not allowing all of these. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that with my Patron account and with this YouTube account, and I get caught up in the details, right? That's very much what it's talking about. Don't get caught up in the details. Keep your focus on your heart prize, on your vision. Okay, what's coming from your heart. Okay, that's going to be a lesson that needs to be learned in this next coming year for you. Interestingly enough, you could probably tie into one another's gifts in order to help with that. But maybe that's a conversation for another time. All right, so I'm going to pull some purpose cards here. How will... I call it the path to purpose. We're going to do the path to purpose and gift development together. Sort of what's going to support your purpose. It might have what you guys are going to be doing to eventually work together. Yeah, so let's see for the divine. Oh, that was fast. Career change. Okay, you're embarking upon a career that brings you joy, abundance, and desire. Abundance you desire and deserve. Okay, so that was the divine masculine. Your divine masculine may be going through a career change. Okay, in order to shift more into his soul energy and what he's meant to do, in the work that he's meant to do. And I say he, but there's no gender. I just needing to keep saying that. So there may be a career change for them. You may think that's unlikely, but there again, it's that soul call, right? What are they doing in their purpose. Okay. And for some, the career change may not be overnight. They may not just walk away. It may just be a transition of trying to understand that what they're doing now is not fulfilling for their soul. Okay. All right. And for the feminine, what do we got here? Spiritual teacher. You heal with your classes, sessions, and seminars. Okay. So if you haven't thought about it, Aries, about doing, being a spiritual teacher, healing with your knowledge, with your own knowing, like I said, the masculine's a little bit behind the feminine, right? So you've learned to tap into your knowing, right? What are you doing that's going to feed your gifts as a spiritual teacher? Because that is part of your path. Okay. I've got like truth bumps. Okay, it's very important for you to hear that right now. Okay, whatever that looks like to you, if it's Reiki, maybe it's tarot, maybe it's astrology, numerology, what does that look like? Is it your own journey that you want to share with others that's going to help them? Okay, what does that look like? Okay, for some of you, it's about opening up the doors and the concepts of where you're going to go next. It's not like you have to jump into it, but you have to be open to that, so that when you and your divine masculine come together, you will have a really strong base. You'll both be equals, but you'll be coming together to create something really powerful. Okay. All right, let's get some gift development. I'm not sure if these are going to give us what we need, but let's see for the divine masculine. If we're going to get anything here. These are kind of interesting cards for that. Pillar of light, your vibration is rising, you are the oracle. And then we have leap, you go first, the universe will catch you. Okay, so part of their gift development is, I feel, number one, to be able to lead with confidence, to not worry about a safety net, to learn about energy and the vibrations of energy, understanding high vibration, low vibration, the very basics of energy is what I'm hearing. Okay, so I think that's very, very interesting, because there's a twofold here about what's actually going to develop for them. To recognize the power of the universe, and that when we make a decision to go forward, it will catch us. Okay. I don't know if you guys, I have on Instagram, I'm at Candi Wishman, but I have this, I picked it up off of someone else's Instagram, but it's this person on the edge of a cliff, and it says God, and it's got like a hand that's about to flick the person off of the ledge, and then it also has a hand on the other side at the bottom of the ravine saying also God. So part of their gift development is they're going to have to take a leap of faith, if they haven't already, in order to open up that gift, open up those gifts that they have. And part of it is learning about energy and the vibration of energy. Okay, so for the feminine, we got another 2-4. Okay, yeah. So the crumbling, what are you clinging on to? And then inner temple devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. So for the gift development for you feminines, okay, this is about you learning to go on the regular into your heart space, meditate, journal, whatever that looks like, so that you can recognize what your ego is hanging on to. It's almost like, it's really funny because I just got an image of like this treehouse, and the treehouse says, it's like no boys allowed, but it's actually saying no ego allowed. Your ego can't actually exist in your heart space. So it gives you an opportunity to be an observer about what you're hanging on to, because when you hang on to those things, and ego is not a bad thing, and this isn't shaming the ego, but when you hang on to those things, you're blocking yourself from your actual gifts. Okay, the ego is actually trying to filter your gifts instead of allowing you to let it, instead of allowing it to let it come forth. Okay, so I'm gonna pull there's possible outcomes, but I feel like for a whole year, I don't want to do, I'm being called not to do And again, maybe that is ego just because we just talked about it, but I'm going to do an archangel only because I feel like with this universe of limitless possibilities, the outcome could be any variation of things. So I'm just going to call on some guidance to move forward for the divine masculine, for the divine feminine, and then for the two of you together. So for the masculine, I feel like there's a whole bunch of guidance in this video, but yeah. For the feminine, and then for the two of you together. Okay, we got a twofer there. Okay. So for the masculine, Queen of Raphael, kind, understanding, giving, and psychic. Follow your heart, a love of home and family, trustworthy psychic information. So what's interesting about this, I'm going to point back to the very beginning of this video. They talked about the 10 of Pentacles, okay, and how that was a lesson that was learned. A love of home and family, shifting that perspective of legacy and what family really is, okay? Following your heart instead of your mind, okay? Trusting your intuition, trusting your knowing. For the feminine, we have another queen energy. We have Queen of Ariel, mature, practical, generous, and happy. Nurture yourself and those you love. The ability to make anything more beautiful, practical, wise advice. Okay. Again, I'm going to point out that at the beginning, the lesson learned, okay, for you feminines was temperance, which was self-love and self-care. Okay. Nurture yourself and those you love. You can see the beauty in anything, feminines, and that is going to be your strength because you see your value, and in seeing your value, you see the value in everything. So for the two of you together, we have the Knight of Michael, strong, committed, intelligent, diligent, time to move quickly, choose logic over emotion, sudden changes. Eight of Raphael, there is something better waiting for you. Do what you know is right, a spiritual quest. Okay, so I feel like this is an energy of you both moving forward, flowing through the changes, and recognizing and accepting the tasks your soul has set for you. Choosing logic over emotion isn't detaching from your emotion, it's detaching from the emotional reaction you have to things. Recognizing and being an observer of the emotional reaction. You will both, it's very forward moving energy, but it's a very fluid, very positive, powerful energy. Okay, you're both going to be doing what's right for you. You're both going to be in a very how do I put this? In a place where you're sort of demoting your ego. Your ego is going to be on the sidelines because it's limiting what is possible for you. There's something better waiting for you beyond what you can imagine. Okay. All right, so I hope that has helped. And if it resonates, please like, share, comment, and or subscribe. I'm excited to see what this year holds for you, Aries. Okay, be your peace, love yourself, share your light, and have an amazing year.